Hello, I'm Robin Vincent and welcome back to another session at the table of the Deckard's Dream. Today I'm finishing off the little bits. I've got the power supply board here, I think that's what it is, and the hardware I/O board. Just two little bits of soldering on a couple of little panels. How difficult could that be? Well, hopefully not very difficult at all. And so that's what I'm going to be finishing off in that video. I've got two little bags of stuff. This is the stuff that's going to go on these boards. This looks easy compared to all the other stuff I've been through. But first, I just wanted to clear up perhaps some misconceptions. Maybe I've led you to this place, I don't know, in my general rantings and commentary as I've been building the Deckard's Dream so far. And that's that some of the comments that I've been getting on my videos on the Deckard's Dream have kind of indicated that they think that Black Corporation have done something wrong, that they're not providing the right sort of level of support, or that we must be crazy and it's all a bit rubbish, and none of that is actually true. And so I just wanted to explain just a little bit. So if you're thinking that this project is more hard work than it should be, then let me set you straight on a couple of things. First of all, that Black Corporation did not provide a kit. There is no Black Corporation kit for this. Black Corporation have provided the PCBs and the schematics and the bill of materials. That's their contribution. They created it and said, look, here are all the PCBs, you can buy these and make the thing yourself. Make the project yourself, source all the parts and the other bits and pieces, and off you go. They designed it as I don't know, a wet dream for a synthesizer DIY builder. It's the sort of thing that you can get stuck into and sort yourself out and go for. They never provided it as a DIY project for idiots or first timers or little builders like myself, or people who just wanted to have a go. That was not the vibe. This is a project for people who are into building synthesizers, and that's amazing. And with that, they provided photographs of the entire system being built, and they've stuck it out there in the general domain, and you are asked to get on with it. So any moaning that I do, any confusion, is far more to do with my lack of experience than it is to anything that Black Corporation have or have not done. Every time that I've reached out to them or reached out to the community, because there is this awesome community of builders that has arisen in order to support each other in the building of this awesome project. Every time I've reached out, I've been answered with intelligent, helpful responses that have got me to the next stage and got me along. And these are from people who have taken time out of their day to respond to me. I'm a burden, essentially, to the people building Deckard's Dreams because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just giving it a go. Now, Bob at Black Corporation thought it'd be awesome for me to try this out because they were thinking amongst themselves that this is actually a relatively easy project and perhaps anybody could build it. Maybe. Why don't we try that out? Why don't we give it to this guy who's at least entertaining while he's funneling his way through his DIY projects? And I, of course, leapt at the idea because it's a flipping awesome synthesizer. And so here I am. But in the course of my making this thing, of my working my way through this, I'm going to hit tripwires and roadblocks and problems because I don't have the experience to overcome them myself. And I will talk about that in my videos. I will honestly relate to how I feel about it, or how that makes me feel. The frustration and all of that is in my videos because it's real, and I wanted to give a real account of what was going on. That doesn't mean in any way that I blame Black Corporation for any of my problems. You know, have I sort of made that clear? Because I don't ever want to give the impression that I'm anything other than grateful to Black Corporation and to Bob Rogue there for singling me out and giving me this opportunity, because it's a flipping awesome opportunity. It absolutely is. Now, if they had released it as a kit for beginners or triers, then absolutely I would be on them about every single bit that does not translate well to the inexperienced person. But that's not what they did. So I have no place really to criticize that. All I can do is highlight the problems that I hit. So if people like myself want to give it a go, I can help them along with that. That's the purpose of all this. Yeah? Does that make sense? Good. So where are we? Well, here I am with me bits and me things. So I think I'm just going to get stuck on with this. This is the I/O thing. You know, ins and outs, MIDI interface, jacks, I think. Stuff like that. I least that's my understanding. So I'm going to give a go at that, and then I've got this board which looks like it slots into the main board, so I can get these things out of the way, and then after that it's just really the voice cards. Then I have to put it together. Then I have to test it, and then I'll just be playing wonderful sounds for the rest of my life. Which is awesome. Now, there was an issue of the photographs. Now, the photographs of the Deckard Stream Rev 1 were taken by Roman, the guy behind Black Corporation, and they were put up for everybody to see, and unfortunately they disappeared when they revamped the website. However, through lots of hinting from people about going to archive.org and other things, that initially didn't work, and then for some reason it did work, so I have rescued all the images. Other people had them as well and shared them about, so there's no problem with any of that. It was just kind of an unfortunate occurrence. So I now have all the images that I need on my laptop, so I can continue forward in that way. So I'm not having to use a schematic to try to work things out, and this is particularly important with this power supply and hardware bit, because it matters on how these things are put together and how they meet up with the rest of the hardware, because that's the bit that's a little bit bogging me out, I suppose, at the moment, is the extra bits of wiring. Doing PCB, soldering on here, easy. Connecting it up to other bits of hardware, using wires and heat shrink and stuff, that's getting a little bit more electrical, a little bit more difficult. But I'm going to worry about that in a minute. I'm just going to solder these two things, see where we get to. So let me have a look and see what's in the bag, and then we'll kind of just get on with it. Now, comparing the version 1, which is what the image is that I've got, to this, they are a little bit different. The layout's a little bit different. The orientation of this horrible surface mount component is a little bit different. But let's not worry about it. I can see that I've got 3 surface mount capacitors on the back. Everything else is on the front, including this fella here. So the first job definitely appears to be to stick those on. So there seems to be a lot for this little board, I have to say. Seems to be a lot. Okay, output jacks. Lots of single resistors. Bits, capacitors. MIDI sockets. There's quite a few of those, unexpectedly. Now those look like the surface mount bits. A little knob, some pins, more resistors. Switches and clips, resistors, diodes, resistors, capacitors, LEDs, USB output, power jack, I think. Yeah. Headers. Now that's the other surface mount bit there. A couple of chips. Cool. So in my list, the output board. 3 surface mount ceramic capacitors. 0.1 micro watts, farads, those 3. C4, C5, C6. Now I'm sitting here, I can't remember how I do this exactly. I think I heat a pad and I put some solder on it. I do like the fact that SynthCube, who I bought the components from, the kit components from, they tend to err on the side of caution. So although there's only 3 on the order, they've sent me 4. So that if one just disappears somewhere, that's not the end of the world. So I just do that. That's all I do. Heat it up. Stick it in. Try to make sure it's reasonably right, not crossing the streams. See? That went. I don't think I'm finding that. Gore flip. I felt that bounce off my foot. Oh dear. Well, I'm going to give it a chance and see if I can find it. I don't have the sort of floor which you can find these things. That's a pain. That's a reminder that I need to be careful. There's no way I'm finding that down here. Just. Yeah, I did. I found it. I flipping found it. I found it. Oh, my goodness me. Well, there we go. I'm so jammy. So jammy. Good. Then all I do, stick a little bit of stuff on the other side. Heat that up. Put that on. Put that up. Put that on. Heat that up. Put that on. Probably using far too much as ever. Let's give it a look. Crippen spiders. I mean, they're massive globules of stuff, of solder. It's not awesome, but I'm going with it. What's next? Yeah, okay, the little bugger. So this not only has to go on here, it's got to go the right way round. Okay, this is difficult. This is difficult. Normally speaking, on a chip, you have some kind of indication as to which way round it goes. You know, a notch on it. As far as I can see, on my little fella here, there's a notch on both sides. Is there? I don't know. I mean, there definitely appears to be a notch on this side, but there does seem to be kind of a notch on that side too. I've tried to take off anything which looks like dust, which is giving me a poor indication. I mean, all I can really go on is the images, and that seems to indicate that by the kind of the logo that's on it is the way it should be. Because if I go back, the notch, as far as this is concerned, is to the right. To here it's actually going down because the orientation has changed. Not making any sense. Now I've got another image of it here, which is, that's exactly the right chip. It's exactly the right chip, 2171. So unless they change the printing, which doesn't seem to make any sense, that it has to go in the same orientation as that. That is pointing towards the chip. And on the original board, the pointing towards the chip was the notch. So that has to be pointing towards the notch. That's as far as my process of elimination goes. That has to be pointing towards the notch. Right, so let's put some solder on a leg, and then that will be a good way of securing it. Let's push that away for a minute. Okay, I'm going to try a different tack. I need more solder on here. Oh, for crying out loud. Now there's one, so I need the logo to be down there. Oh, goodness. Oh, heck. That's really hard. Really hard. How do I do this? How do I get to this easier? I have to say, getting that first leg on was really, really difficult. But then, once you got it attached, the rest flowed really easily. Oh, that's interesting. Right, now I've got to work out where the hell all these resistors go. Right. Now it's just resistors and stuff, so the rest should be fairly straightforward. I'll give you a shout at the end. So there you have it. You've got MIDI in and out, USB, audio, something or other, a couple of headers and bits and pieces. It wasn't difficult to put that together. Once I got over that first surface mount little bugger of a chip, then it got a bit easier. Although I did have one bit of trouble here with this capacitor. You see that? I had to bend it out of the way because it's too fat to fit in the space, and it could not fit in with this USB connector. One of the legs on the USB connector as well kept sort of disappearing inside itself, and I'm wondering about the security of that particular leg. But so if USB doesn't work down the line, that's something we can look at. Otherwise, yeah, done, we think. Onto the power supply. So the power supply seems to plug in. It's got this. It plugs into a slot on the motherboard. This doesn't look too hard either. It only seems to be one side. Let's have a look at the bits. Oh, a bunch of LEDs. They always cause trouble. Fuse holder, another one of those clips. Capacitors. Some sort of regulator chip. One of those what's-its. Oh, and a big fat thing. Right, good. That seems to be it. Not a whole lot going on in there. Now, the pictures that are on the original build guide for this don't really talk a whole lot about this bit. It all seems to be about power connectors and other things going together. Bits of wire on the end of things. So no, for this I'm not really getting any help. I'm just going to have to go with the bill of materials and put things on where they appear to go. I mean, that's not that hard, is it? Not for a man of my capabilities these days. So, big fat chunky thing, I think that can wait. Fuse holder, that's quite interesting. And the cover for it goes in there. Big chunky thing goes there. So on the PSA board, C10 PSU board, this one, long leg positive, C1, no, C10, beg your pardon, C9, 11, 10, there, big leg positive. Goes in there. Now I've got smaller ones, maybe I should be doing those first. So let's take these bits out. So the smallest things are probably the LEDs. So let's put those in first. So they're not going to be marrying up to anything, so they just need to go in. So LEDs, 5 of. Long leg positive is on the curve. Straight bit is negative. Long leg positive, straight bit negative. Alright, good place to start. Let's do that. Okay, 5 capacitors, C7, long, it's positive, C9, Right, so on the bill of materials we have C10 twice. So we have C10 on the electrolytic capacitors 100 microfarads rather. And we've also got a C10 as a 330. See, that's going to be C8, isn't it? That's terrible. That was almost a calamity. So that's going to be positive there. Right, so point of order then, on the bill of materials under PSU board, we've got C10 for 330 microfarads and also C10 for 100 microfarads. Now, as far as I can see on the board here, when we're talking about C10, we're talking about this fella here, which is labelled on the board as C10, as you can see there. Now, this is substantially larger than the silkscreen on the board, whereas it's about right for this one here, which is the C8, and C8 isn't actually labelled in my bill of materials at all. So I'm going to make the huge leap to believe that this is not actually C10, it's C8 and should be going there. That's what I'm going to do. That has to be right, yeah? Has to be right. It's one of those sorts of errors that's so, oops, just a bit more of a typo that no one's actually done anything about correcting it anywhere. Oh dear, come on, I've got to take those bits off. Just don't go in my coffee. So, we've now got things like this little bit. C2, our friend the capacitor, long leg positive. Let's go in C8. They're about the same height. Got our fuse. And our big chunky thing, whatever that is. So all of these could probably be done at once. Right. I think that's supposed to screw in there. So, I don't know, I'll have to think about that. I don't think I have anything. I don't think it came with a screw. That's a little bit of extra something or other I'm going to have to think about. Ooh. Two-pin header. Then there's this test point that it says is labelled ground. So this is this little thing. Now there is on here, there's an A, there's a grund, there's a 12 volt, there's a 3 volt, 12 volt minus 5 volt. So is this, I don't know, is this supposed to be attached to ground? There's the ground, which is here. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. Do you just go in or something? It's just a piece of wire. Is that the point? It's just a piece of wire? Ooh. Do you push it together so it goes in the hole? Right, well I got this thing here, this test point thing. It says it should be connected to ground. I have no clue how you make that work. Do you squeeze it together and poke it through the hole? I don't know, I suppose you do. Do you? Alright, I'll leave that out as something I've got to think about. Otherwise that's pretty much there. That's a power supply card. I'm missing a screw which screws in the voltage regulator. Is that important? I don't know. You tend to find them, so it probably is. Some kind of earthing thing, maybe. So there's these two bits put together. Bits and bobs. So now, really, all I've got left is the voice card, and then I have to put the whole thing together. There are bits and pieces that need to be, you know, wires that need to be put together, like from here where that goes and where this goes to something else. These things are still a bit mysterious. As for that test point that's supposed to be on here, but otherwise those are a few bits done. Onto the voice cards will be the next one, and I hope that's been useful so far. And it really does feel like we're on the cusp now, because once I've got one voice card done, I could actually test it out. I don't quite know. In some ways I'm quite frightened of the test point, because that will be the point at which it might all just fall apart. And I don't know whether I've done everything right or not. Difficult to say. Anyway, that'll do for now. I'll see you on the next one.